All right, here we are. We're on episode 3. So after looking at all the issues that have been going on with the engine, I have made the decision to change the spark plugs. My first thing I was going to do is injectors, but the reason I'm not doing injectors first is 2 reasons. One, they're $100 a piece and I need 8 of them. That's super expensive for an issue, for something that might not be fixing the issue. The second reason is they're fairly easy to get to, they're fairly easy to replace. The spark plugs, however, are not. Clearly having an engine misfire, I don't know what cylinders are misfiring, and I don't know how many are misfiring, but I do know just from checking my exhaust, you can feel there's a misfire. So I just went to AutoZone. I'm gonna go back to the house. I'm gonna lift right now, and I'm gonna show y'all all the parts that I got, all the tools that I got, and we're gonna dive into this and just get it done. See you in a second. And we are back from AutoZone. Let me show y'all everything that I picked up. So just going from left to right here, got a wire or a spark plug puller, a new set of 3/8 drive torque bits, 8 double iridium spark plugs from Bosch, just a fuel line puller kit. I've seen people use this for the fuel lines on the top of the engine. Some anti-seize for the threads, only the threads, and some bulb grease, which I'm going to use for a future project. But the main tools here, we got this swiveling 3/8 drive ratchet. Always wanted one of these. A 3-inch extension, a 1-inch extension, and a 5/8 spark plug puller socket. I already took the packaging off these, but yeah, so that's everything I picked up. I also got these gloves because I don't have the mechanic hands I used to. Y'all can see how fucked up my hands got just from doing that fuel pump the other day. I got some pretty tough hands and my shit has been hurting bad for 3 days, so we're gonna glove it up. So technically it's now day 7 since I bought the car. Did I intend to take the whole engine apart this quickly? No. But I want to get my car drivable. I said this in my first vlog. Even if these things I'm replacing don't fix the overall issue, they're part of a tune-up. They need to be replaced anyway. I'm not sure, but if I had to guess, I would guess that these spark plugs are the original from the factory, so they're probably super shitty. Anyway, I'm gonna change the camera. I'm gonna set it up so y'all can see me work, and we're gonna start taking this engine apart. All right, so I'm pretty happy right now. I was actually able to pull the Vette at least like halfway in my garage. You can see right here. So first things first, we're gonna disconnect the battery, and then after I disconnect the battery, I'm gonna take my valve covers off. If I recall correctly, it's just 4 T50 screws per valve cover. You gotta do a bunch of wiggling and wobbling and woobling to get that thing out, but y'all are gonna watch me do that. Let's tear this damn ass engine apart. All right, so like I said, first things first, we're gonna disconnect the negative terminal of the battery with a 5/16 socket. Whenever you disconnect your battery and you move the terminal out of the way, just make sure that the terminal is not contacting anything metal. That could be a severe issue. Okay, so our battery's disconnected. Now I'm gonna grab my T50 on a 3/8 ratchet, and we're gonna remove these 4 bolts. I'm choosing to start on the driver's side because it looks like this is gonna be more difficult, and I like to do the more difficult job first. Makes my life a lot easier. So let's get into it. All right, here we go. So I should have said this before, but at this point, I'm trying to just undo the bolts for this bracket here, because it seems like this bracket is getting in the way of me taking the head off. All right, I'm gonna turn this off real quick. I gotta charge the phone. We'll be back. Okay, so it looks like it got dark really fast. I took a little break because I wanted to changed my initial plan here. So I was just gonna do the spark plugs, but I don't know if it's the military maintainer in me or what, but I am just seeing all this shit that I can do while I have this all opened up. So I took a break and I went to AutoZone and I bought new head gasket seals, and it's seals for the gaskets themselves and seals for the mounting hardware. Let me turn my camera around. So this is the passenger side head gasket, and I've been spraying all this stuff with this right here, Purple Power, because I'm gonna clean all this up and we're gonna restore it. Same thing with the hardware. I also took this bracket off, and this bolt was incredibly stuck. I had to spray the shit out of it with PB Blaster and just had to be very, very careful. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll be honest, I don't know how necessary it is to remove the alternator to do this or to swing it out of the way, but I have decided to do that, and I'll tell you why. So first of all, there's one gasket removed, or head gasket, and here it is the other. I keep saying head gasket. What the hell am I talking about? Okay, so after like 4 hours of work or so, I'm gonna just spin this around, show y'all where we're at. I just finished taking out the last spark plug. Let's talk about this process. So in the future, maybe I'll get a second cameraman, but it's really difficult to record myself doing this at the same time as the maintenance, because for one, even if I set the camera up at an angle, you're not gonna really see what you need to see. And two, I need both my hands to do this. So try my best, guys. Anyway, so all 8 plugs are out. Man, when I tell you this shit, I've done spark plugs in probably every car I've ever owned, and I've never had to do so much work. So we pulled the valve covers off. I already talked about that. Things taken off. You can see I've been wiping everything down, getting all this grease and grime. See, this is actually after one time already wiping it through. I already did this side. It looks so much better. But anyway, I'll show you guys what I use to take the spark plugs out for the most part. 5/8 spark plug socket, a 1-inch extension, and this is important, onto a 3/8 like swivel ratchet. You are absolutely 100% going to need one of these if you're doing this job. Now, if we want to take it one side at a time, on the driver's side here, I had to undo this T50, and this nut right here that was holding this grounding plug. I also went ahead and disconnected this connector right here, which goes to the AC compressor, which mine is fucked. We will be swapping that out in a future video. And I broke the tension right down here with a 9/16. And this was kind of tricky because to get in here with the 9/16 and the ratchet, there's very little clearance. I actually had to like hit my ratchet with a hammer to get it out. Okay, so I pulled the tension, got the pulley off, took all the bolts that I just told you all about out. Also, I went ahead and I took off these brackets. There's 2 of them, one that mounts there and one that mounts right here. Those are attached to the wire harness currently. And also, this is important, if your plugs are not numbered, number them. I numbered mine front to back. You can do whatever works best for you. This way I know the orientation goes like this, 4 at the back, 3 right here. And I'm also gonna have 2 and 1 labeled. There's 1 and there's number 2. Okay, so got those brackets off. I also had to take this cruise control ASR system. I had to undo the bracket. It's 2 bolts that go through here, and then you have 1 bolt that goes through this bracket that attaches to somewhere, that guy right there. And then after you get all that shit off, then you can get to your spark plugs. And even at that point, it is not easy. So let's go over to the passenger side. Okay, so passenger side was actually significantly easier. The only thing that's different over here is you have this oil, I'm guessing it's some type of overflow hose that goes into your valve cover, somewhere right about there. That's pushed over to the side. What else did I undo over here? There was another bracket. This one right here. Again, same numbering with our plugs so we know what we're doing when we go to reassemble. And after you get everything out there, that's basically it. And you have to reach your ratchet down in. Everybody online was talking about how this guy back there was the most difficult. That came out very, very easily for me with the setup I explained to y'all. It was not difficult. The only thing was, the most difficult one was actually on this side. At the very rear, the last spark plug, I had to start with an extension, and halfway through I had to undo my ratchet, take my 1-inch extension off, put the ratchet back on, get it out a couple more threads, and then I'd take the ratchet back off and get the rest by hand. That one was a bitch. So I don't know what the issue is with this one. It was actually super easy to take out. Anyway, let's go take a look at the spark plugs. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on the table over here. I have my valve cover hardware that's been soaking in degreaser. My valve covers, which I've already gone ahead and cleaned once. I also cleaned out all of the bevels here where the new gasket seals are gonna go. Same thing on this side. This is our new gasket seal set. It's gonna have your mount hardware grommets as well as 2 seals. This was like 25 bucks. Definitely worth it, and I'm glad my shop had it in stock. Now over here, we have that bracket that goes over the alternator. The bastard bolt we spoke of earlier that almost didn't come out, and I scared the shit out of me, but it's out now and it's clean for the most part. These are the old grommets. One valve cover, they were very hard to take off. I can't remember which one, but they were all super difficult. And the other ones popped out fairly easily. Not sure what that's about, but probably a sign they need to be replaced. Now, let's take a look at these disgusting things. So even if these spark plugs don't fix this overall issue of the car having misfires, they clearly needed to be replaced. Like, look at just the soot, the carbon, the rust. This is the really shitty one I was just telling y'all about that goes on the very back of the driver's side, the super difficult one to take out. Looks really rough condition. I don't even need to take a gauge to these to check the gap. I can tell just by looking at them, they're quite a bit off. So we're going to be replacing them with these Bosch double iridiums. This is kind of like one step up from what's recommended, and it was only another $1 or so more per spark plug. So let's take a new one. So right here I have a brand new spark plug next to an old one. And keep in mind, these are all generally in the same very bad condition. There seems to be corrosion on the connection points on a lot of these. They're just really rusted, full of carbon on the electrode. You can see the nice little tip that's going on right there is not even at all present on there. So I guarantee this is one of the cylinders that was misfiring. So I am gonna continue to clean up my engine bay a little bit while it's all taken apart, and then we're gonna get back to the reassembly process. Let's go. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is put anti-seize on the threads of the spark plugs themselves, just the threads. All right, so I got anti-seize on all 4 of my spark plugs. I'm gonna take this thing off, get this anti-seize out the way, and we're gonna start putting these back in. We're gonna start by putting them, all 4, get them started by hand, or get them as tight as we can by hand. I'm gonna be moving from back to front because it seems like the back is more difficult, and I like to do the more difficult part of the job first. So first, I'm gonna just kind of get my hand down in here and get a feel for where this port is. It's right there, okay? And I'm also gonna take a rag and just wipe off the port opening, just around it. You never know what could be in there. Dirt, grime, shit. See, that was in the front of the spark plug port. All right, so let's get this first guy started. All right, so when I take the headlamp off, I can see really nicely into there. And just a reminder, it's good to see the angle of the ports because some of these are straight on, some of them are angled. This very back plug is one that goes straight on. Okay, took me a second. My hair looked crazy as shit, but I got the first one started. I'm just tightening it by hand as much as possible. And it's going really nice and smooth. And honestly, I should be able to get this by hand all the way up to basically the block if the NICs worked. And I cleaned the threads, like I said I did. Clean the entry port. All right, first one in. Wasn't so bad. Took me about 4 or 5 minutes. Let's do the other 3. That's 2. Oh, my poor hands are so tattered from working on this car all week. Come on, guys, just get me through this job. And before y'all say anything in the comments, I'm a fucking music producer nowadays, guys, all right? I don't got my man hands anymore. Obviously. Very obviously. You know, that's a big reason why I bought this vehicle, though. And it's why when stuff goes wrong, I'm not upset. Because I caught myself working too much, you know, and I think a lot of us do. Whether it's taking your job too serious or just sacrificing too much, you know, a lot of us get caught up doing it. Definitely myself included. So this is a way to keep my mind occupied in a healthy way. Gives me something to think about and not do that's work. Because even though I love my job, there's something about making a career out of a hobby that you loved. It's a blessing and a curse. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So I ain't gonna lie, there's a bracket here that is just making this less than fun. I'm gonna take my socket and see if I can tighten it up a little bit more, just like that. Yeah, that's much better. That one was very difficult to get by hand. Because of this, it seems like a bracket or a mount that's going to the AC compressor and to the alternator. All right, last one. Let's do it. All right, now just checking the time. I'm at 12 minutes, so it took me about 12 minutes, let's say 10 minutes to put those 4 back in. Now I have to tighten them. I'm sure there's a torque value. I'm gonna go ahead and torque these to good and tight. Yeah, let's do that. So I already started using the spark plug 5/8 socket to help get the spark plug started. So at the moment, I'm on the very front one, and I got the socket, a 1-inch extension, and I'm gonna put just the ratchet on the end of the 1-inch extension. And then I'm just gonna start tightening. Might help if I'm on the spark plug. All right, just gonna give it one little. I heard the click, did y'all? It looks like I can get the same setup on this next one. So that's what I'm gonna use. Looks like that one's in, so we're gonna give it a torque. All right, number 3. Can we get to that with the same setup? Think so. Yep. And these tightened. Nothing. All right. And cranking away on number 4. Remember what I told y'all about this damn back one and having to do like a weird setup? I'm about to have to do that again. I'm gonna have to get a longer extension or something, I don't know. All right, I'm just getting a little different angle on it. Same setup. I just didn't like the way that was, the spark plug was feeling at the end there. Should just sit. Yeah, there we go. I don't know what was going on there. All right. Bit of a predicament here, and I don't want to fuck this up. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is definitely something you're going to want to look out for. That is the number 4, or I don't know what number it is, but it's the last spark plug. And what's happening here is, I think a spark plug socket is too big or something. It's kind of stuck in there though. I can get it out by loosening the socket, but then how do I tighten the spark plug? I guess I'm gonna try to just see if I can tap this out gently. Ugh, I don't like this. Update. I'm standing in this motherfucker like a monkey. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I think what's happening is my spark plug socket is too thick and it's catching on the exhaust fire shield. The predicament here is I can't get it all the way tight without the socket getting stuck. I can get the socket out, but then I can't get the spark plug all the way tight. So I'm working on it. I think I just gotta move this firewall a little bit and yank her out. All right, so as you can see, I pretty much have everything buttoned up here on the driver's side. Reason being, it's 3 in the morning. I am exhausted, and it took forever to get that last spark plug to stay and to get tightened. Basically, what I had to do is the firewall that was blocking my socket from coming back, I had to kind of with like a screw, it was a fucked up setup, but I got it to bend back that way, which allowed me to get the socket out. But that being said, I did break that spark plug when I was pulling it out. Not at the nut portion, at the ceramic part, so it's not a big deal. But I have to get another one in the morning, and then we'll be able to finish this up. But just so y'all can see the deal here, valve cover's back on. Everything is tightened down with the new gasket and the new grommets. I got my connector back on. Got 1, 2, 3 of my bolts back in for this bracket with anti-seize. I have the ground back connected, and then at the front here you have 1, 2 with the nut on the end. Those are all tightened. The AC compressor just had this removed, and then I also reconnected my ASR again with the 1, 2, and 3. Where are you? 3 bolts right there. And make sure you don't forget there's a ground plate that goes behind that as well. All right, so now what I'm gonna do before I go to sleep, I'm gonna get this serpentine belt pack on. And you can see right there, I think I said 9/16 earlier. It's actually a 5/8, so my bad if I said 9/16. 5/8 right there on my tensioner. I'm gonna slap this thing back on. I guess we could take a look at the passenger side really quick. So even though I'm tired as hell, I wanted to make sure everything was patched up because I don't like the idea of having an open engine. Even if the hood's closed, I wanted to get it at least sealed up. So currently, get my light a little brighter here. Currently, I have 1, 2, 3 spark plugs replaced, and I have a temporary one right there. That's an old one, it's a bad one. It's just so I don't have an open port in my engine, again, because I'm paranoid. I look like a mess. I look like I've been working on a fucking car all day. All right, so I'm pretty stoked with the progress I made today. Everything's pretty much put back together. I just have to go buy one more spark plug in the morning. I'm gonna slap that in, and then we'll get the passenger side all patched up. One thing I did forget to mention earlier is before I put my plugs back on my spark plugs on the driver's side, I put dielectric grease on the end tips of the spark plugs. Don't know how necessary it is, but I saw my old ones were quite corroded. Figured like a pretty good preventative measure. All right, guys, so I'll check in again in the morning. We'll take an AutoZone trip together. We're gonna finish up this engine, and we're gonna put that fucking key in, and it's gonna start right up, right? Right? We shall see. The sun is out. You might think, hey, Kenny, hope you got some good sleep. Nope, I haven't slept yet. By the time I did everything, wrapped everything up, pushed the car back out, it was like 6 in the morning. It just passed 8 o'clock. So I got my last spark plug. I'm about to put that in, and I'm going to hope to every god known to every universe on every dimension of every plane of existence that this will crank up and sound beautiful. Let's get this shit done. Okay, so she's all put back together. I ran into one little issue I'm gonna show y'all because it's very important. So I saved this spark plug for last because I thought it would be the easiest one, the very front one here, but it actually wasn't. I had the same issue on the right front passenger side spark plug as I did on the rear driver's side. This flange on my spark plug remover socket right here, all these flanges were getting caught on exhaust manifold, or whatever this is, the jacket, metal jacket. So I had to switch between a regular 5/8 and this was a deep well 5/8, and this was able to get the job done. But everything is put back together. The battery is reconnected. All right, y'all. I've been wrenching on this car all week. I would really love for it to start when I put this key in the ignition. Okay. Here we go. Nope. If anything, it's running worse. Injectors are next. See y'all next time.